All right, again, thank you for joining us for Shifting Your Leadership. This week we'll be talking from a topic, the shift factors. There are factors in shifting, all righty? Numbers 14 and 24 says this. God is saying, but my servant Caleb, because he has a different spirit in him and has followed me fully, I will bring him into the land where he went, and his descendants shall inherit it. All righty. Before we go into our lesson, let's define the word shift. Shift simply means to change or exchange. It means to change ideas, shift your mindset. It means to transfer from one place, maybe to another place, from one position to another position, from one location to another location. If we took the automotive definition, it would mean shifting gears from gear 1, 2, 3, or from one plan to another. All right, let's go to our handout. Number 1, shifting as a leader involves different components. And we talked about some of the different components. It requires different, it involves different components. Like, okay, you have to give directions as a leader, or, leaders are thinkers. Leaders have to hear when others are not hearing. Leaders have to help keep the morale up in the team, in themselves and the team. And just so many different components, but shifting as a leader involves those components, and we have to be okay with them and embrace them. And it takes each component working together that makes that shifting into that right place at the right time possible. All righty. But before we go deeper into the components and let's talk about, or let's reflect on a few significant leader traits that's important for shifting. All right, I'm going to share a few with you. 3, a leader recognizes the importance of his or her leadership foundation. That's a positive, necessary trait to always recognize the importance of your foundation and acknowledge them. And the way you acknowledge your foundation is you always remember where you've been, because where you have been helps you get to build on those experiences, whether they were successes, whether they were maybe not so successful, failures. It could be from people that you encountered, assignments. And so the thing about it, those things that you have acquired, guess what? You employ them. Now they get to work for you as you acknowledge the importance of your foundation, because they're important for us to shift today. B, where you are. Acknowledge where you are as a leader today, because today is not where you were yesterday. It's not where you began. The distance you have come, however, confirms your leadership. You're still in the game. You're still in it to win it, which is in itself has required shifting. So you have been doing some shifting. And even as we continue to understand that leaders continue to shift, another thing that we have to acknowledge is be able to answer the why. The why is so significant and so important as a leader, because the why is the purpose. The why is the driving point. Why are we doing that? We keep this before us because why have we been called? Why are we leading this way? Why is it time to shift? Why is the purpose? Your leadership foundation is the stability that allows progress. Okay? Your leadership foundation is the stability that allows progress, which requires us to shift when, where, and at the time needed. All righty. Also, another qualities or trait of a leader, number 4, embracing the shift as leaders. And we're talking about shifting, and we did some shifting in 2020, but we had to embrace the shift. We come in agreement with it's time to shift, because the level in which you're able to accept that it's time to shift determines the effectiveness of your shift. If you embrace it and you know it's time to shift, then guess what? You can do that with confidence. Remember last week we talked about if you don't have that confidence, guess what? The shifting is not going to be smooth. It can be jerky. It can be rocky, and it can bring insecurity and doubt, not only to you, but to your team. Number 5, you have to prepare for the shift. Prepare for the shift. 2020 has caused us, some of us are probably not prepared, or we didn't really know what the shift looked like. But guess what? We shifted. And where you have been was preparation for where you are today. And where you are today is in preparation for where you're going. So guess what? But it's going to take us continually understanding that there is going to be season and time of shifting. Fulfilling the shift. We talk about prepare the shift. Now we're going to fulfill the shift. In other words, leadership is about fulfilling purpose. Again, it's about the progression. It's about advancement. It's about development. It's about progress. It's about innovation. And ultimately, it's about reaching the envisioned goal, the mission, the task that you and your team has set before you. It's the fulfillment of purpose. Number 7, we have to pay for the shift. Guess what? It costs to shift sometime. It costs your time. It costs your talent. It costs your money. It costs to shift. It costs sleep sometime. But guess what? It's worth it. And you lay it all down, understanding the importance of shifting, accepting the time and the distance that it might take. Why? Because you have a task at hand, a mission to accomplish, and guess what? You know it's going to take leadership for the leader to shift to do that. Caleb had been waiting 40 years to shift into a place that he had already shifted. The scripture said that his heart, he had a different spirit, a different heart. You know why? Because he had already shifted. And so when you shift and you prepare for the shift, guess what? When the time comes to shift, you will find yourself shifting into the very thing that you have been created for. So leaders, I say this to you today. Leaders, let's shift. Back to our group session.